first CP event, shall I say, the new term. And I'd like to extend, there's no one from the CPFS, but thank you very much for offering us. And also very warm welcome to my dear friend, Guru Manish. Without taking you further, I'd like to invite our chairperson with her first maiden speech. And I guess I'm trying to convince her to sing a song afterwards. Alright. So what you need to do, maybe clap it, and then I guess what we request again to have a few words.
Prose is better than poetry. Namaskar, good evening, and a warm welcome to all of you present here. CP session on business continuity management. It's a topic which is very dear to me because one of the assignments I did about 17 years back, it was on business continuity planning which we did for an insurance company in India. And that was one of the most enjoyed assignments that I did. And I truly believe that it's a very good risk management tool, business continuity management. And we need to ensure continuity in all actions that we do, whether it's at the personal level or at the professional level. When we sleep at night, we're not sure we'll wake up alive the next morning. So how do we ensure continuity of the activities which are associated with us? As accountants, we prepare financials. As auditors, we audit financials, and the going concern concept is what we always, it's one of the principles which we base on. But if a company probably doesn't have proper business management techniques being taken care of, then the going concern concept itself would be questionable. Or there might be financial dents happening in the company's financials at a later point with a big incident happening. So I'm sure we are going to enjoy today's session. We at the Muscat chapter of ICAI, we also look at the continuity. That's why I was mentioning to you that we have an email ID, which is a common email ID. So as MC members come and go, we pass on the emails, the communication which is there, the documents which are there, they get passed on to our subsequent MC members who come on board. And with this intention in mind, we also started having some volunteers to work with the management committee in the subcommittees who will help us with some continuity. As a management committee, the whole committee changes every 3 years, as you know, with the elections. So that's our bit of continuity management techniques which we do. For the current year, we are drawing up our plans. We intend to have CP sessions, 2 CP sessions every month, as we have been having in the past period. But we intend to keep it on every first and third Monday of a month, so that there is some kind of, so people know that they can block their calendars. We're working on that, and we will surely let you know. We are also planning some Saturday events, half-day Saturday knowledge series events for the sake of members. We are also, am I pressing something here? Okay. We are also working with the overseas placement group, which will help the placement of chartered accountants, and which can also help the Omani companies to hire good chartered accountants or fresh chartered accountants. In our attempt to help the profession itself, we are working with the school, and we are trying to, we are talking to the students where we convince them about the CA course itself. Family events are also in the pipeline, and I'm sure you will hear from us more as we go along. Any suggestions from your side as to how we can improve our activities, something better that we can do, please let us know. Write an email to us at muscat@icai.org. Also, if any one of you would like to take up a CP session of topics of your interest, please let us know. Topics of your expertise, which our members will benefit from. With that, I hand over to Shaz for further proceedings. And we are all eager to hear from Mr. Mani on business continuity management. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I guess I wrote some lines actually for the session today, after the speech as well. Expect the best, learn for the worst, and prepare to be surprised. So probably that's the session, something talks about the business continuity management. So Gurubhai, I guess this is something, and I have a quote after the session as well. So hopefully that fits. So may I invite, before we go further, may I invite CA Manish Jain to formally introduce the speaker, please.
Thank you. Mr. Guru Vayurappan is an experienced information security consultant and working with the Paramount Computer Systems in Oman for past 3.5 years. He is engaged for implementing business continuity management, GRC and cyber security solutions for its client organizations. Prior to his assignment in Oman, Mr. Guru has served SCL Technologies Limited in India. He has served several companies in manufacturing, logistics, telecom, banking and financial services, and insurance, media and publishing, and healthcare sectors in US, UK, Australia, and GCC region. Guru is an experienced consultant, has implemented ISMS, BCMS, PCI DSS, SSAE 16, EU data protection and privacy, HIPAA, SWIFT, CSP. I think all these are abbreviations, we may not be knowing. Guru is an active member of ISACA for past 10 years and serving in Muscat chapter of ISACA as programs director and delivers knowledge sharing sessions for students and members of sponsoring organizations. Before I invite Mr. Guru for his presentation, I would like to hand over.
Yes, it's good. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I thank Mr. Shanawaz for giving me this opportunity to the chapter, and thank Mr. Manish for the wonderful introduction. With this, I would like to get into the session directly. I hope I need not require more self-introduction about myself. Of course, I can guarantee you one thing, that based on the experience what I had, I hope I can help you understand something with regard to business continuity management today. And mainly I would like to go with the perspective of audit, mainly on internal audit perspective. Though it's a vast subject and it's a very general process that we have, but I would like to focus more into the internal audit perspective on the controls and what are the things that we expect to work as a audit function, as an internal audit function. I hope I am making it more relevant by this topic. The agenda for today starts with a quick intro about the business continuity management and mainly about the criticality of the function and the process that is involved and how it is actually going to help the internal audit community by adding the value to the business continuity process. What is the role of the internal auditors with regard to business continuity in every organization? As you know, business continuity comes under the domain of the concept of security. Right? Agree? As a concept of security, that is securing the business. How we are going to secure the business continually for the ultimate existence of the organization. So when we talk about the security, it addresses the availability of the factor security, because security comprises of three principles: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So anything that we need to ensure with regard to security, how we are going to ensure the business is available continuously for its mere existence, and that is all about the business continuity management. And we would like to go through the proven approaches to conduct BCP audit, and what are the approaches that we can, what are the best practices that is involved in the business continuity management. And by that I would like to wrap up with a short quiz session also. So before we start, I would like to just play a small video, quick video.
We live in hazardous times. Every second of every day, somewhere in the world, things are happening. Devastating things. Events that might have consequences that no one can foresee. Natural disasters. And man-made ones. Events that can harm people and businesses. We may not be able to stop them happening, but we can be prepared. When an incident disrupts your business, the clock is ticking. There's no time for hesitation, wondering what you can do, how to respond. It's time for action, decisive action. For companies with business continuity plans, it's time to put them into practice.
The scope of the risk is anything from reputational loss that can be overcome over time, right the way through to a complete collapse of a business. Now, one of the key messages about business continuity is around convincing your customers that you can continue to deliver that service under any circumstance. But it goes further than that. It says to your staff that you care enough about their own well-being and livelihoods that you've thought through your ability to be able to recover. And importantly, during a recession, it also says to your owners, your financial backers, that you can also withstand an incident, and therefore their ability to fund you shouldn't be undermined as a result of their concerns should you suffer a disaster.
Business continuity management is vital because failure to develop capability could have a devastating impact on the organisation. But success in taking BCM into the boardroom and risk decision making can actually build a more resilient, more agile business.
For companies without plans, an incident can become a crisis. A crisis can become a catastrophe. Following a disaster, around a quarter of businesses never reopen. 80% of companies that don't recover within a month are likely to go out of business. 75% of companies without business continuity plans fail within 3 years. Times are hard for businesses everywhere. Turmoil in the Eurozone, economic slowdown, sovereign debt crises, the credit squeeze, the threat of global recession. Some businesses will survive, some will go under, and it's a fine line in between. But companies that practice business continuity management are resilient. They have analysed their business and know what their priorities are. They have identified the things that are essential to them and the things they can manage without for a while. They even know for how long. They have developed plans for protecting their people, their business, their stakeholders, their reputation. And they've tested them to make sure they're effective. Their employees are aware of what to do if there's an incident and where they should carry on working from, if necessary. The aim is to get the business back up and running in the shortest possible time. And it works. When businesses were asked if business continuity management mitigated the impact of a disruption, 82% of them said yes, and 74% said they were able to continue delivering key products and services to their customers. In an uncertain world, companies with business continuity plans have an advantage. When the clock is ticking, they're ahead of the game. If ever there was a time when resilience was needed, the time is now.
So the business continuity plays a vital role for any organization as it is a clock ticking situation. So what is our role as an internal auditor in the clock ticking situation? So what are we supposed to do? We have to ensure monitoring the ticking time, that each and every second, and how we critical for the business, whether the clock is properly synchronized or not, whether the time is working correctly, and that is what the checking and evaluation perspective that we have to do as an internal auditor. I hope you understand the criticality involved in the business continuity management and what would be the impact in case if an organization doesn't have a business continuity. What would be the impact? What would be the first and foremost impact it would be? Major impact for any organization. If an organization doesn't have a business continuity, how does it impact? May I have a privilege to ask some questions?
Yes, please. But you are not here.
So what is the primary objective of having a business continuity?
Continuity of the business.
The continuity of the business, the primary objective. Anything else other than that?
Yes, the stakeholder itself in the business is very important.
Okay, who involves in the business? Who are all the people, what are involved in the business? What is the most important objective? The purpose of having the business continuity? Okay. To make a profit or revenue? To generate revenue or to retain to prevent the loss?
Increase the shareholder value.
Okay, exactly. And at the same time, if you think before 2001, before 9/11 attacks, business continuity was not of a talk at all. Even there was no such big thing as a business continuity. It was only IT disaster recovery. Everything was done as a recovery only, not as a continuity. After that only, because no one expected such kind of massive attack happen in any part of the world. So happens that business continuity process. So in that case, the continuity of the business will still be there. Even the disruption happen, some part of the continuity of the business will be there, which will be the critical part of the business. And above all, it's a myth that business continuity means only to continue the business. Ultimate objective is to protect the life of the people at the first and foremost. So the business continuity starts with the incident response, that is the emergency response procedure, and then the crisis management, and then business continuity, and then the disaster recovery. That is what we are going to understand a little bit in detail today. What comprises of business continuity? What are the input and output of the business continuity? And what are the entire process involved in it? So, for example, exam perspective, the people, those who are writing exam in CISA, Certified Information Security Auditor or Certified Manager, these are all little tricky questions. What would be the primary question of business continuity? Obviously, we tend to say that, okay, to continue the business, to retain the business. The actual answer is, of course, the factual answer is protecting the life of the people. So, without we evacuate during the emergency situation, and then only we will be concerned about continuing the critical function of the business. Okay. So that is the primary objective. So we are going to start the business continuity management as a process, and the process is a holistic management process that starts with the crisis management, risk management, business continuity management, and IT. So all these comprises of the business continuity management. When we talk about crisis management, that involves emergency response procedure, incident response procedure, how are we going to address any incident that occurred to the organization? What are the initial steps that we need to do? And post-incident, what are we supposed to do? Okay, if we reduce the impact, then what is the next step? How long that we can withstand that disruption? That incident will become a crisis may become a catastrophe. So incident, and before incident, an event, any small event, for example, a system is a virus outbreak occurs in a single system or in the network. That depends on the nature of the impact. It becomes an event or incident or become a crisis or become a catastrophe. So we have to understand how the events have been identified and how the events have been mitigated before it becomes an incident or becomes a crisis or catastrophe. Right. So the first thing is, how are we going to respond to the incident emergency response procedure? So business continuity as a relationship, if you see, it is a combination of all this: crisis management, risk management, business continuity, and disaster recovery. And this all combined together form a program as a resilience program to ensure the organization is resilient enough. What would be the other stages? So this would be the highest stage. It depends on the need of the business and the nature of the business that we are into. Not necessarily all the organization should be resilient enough to ensure having the control. It should be a cost to the company only. It depends on the nature of the business that we are involved in. So accordingly, we need to ensure identify the criticality of the function or process that is involved, resource that is required, system that is required. There comes the purpose of performing analysis. What kind of analysis?
Controls.
Sorry?
Controls.
Controls. Okay, what kind of analysis you do with the controls?
You ensure that your internal controls are in place and they're working properly.
Okay, so you need to address that as a risk assessment, as a risk analysis, right? Right. Nothing wrong in that one. But when we talk about business continuity, we need to do something, business impact analysis, which is almost, of course, which is equal to risk assessment, risk analysis. So these are the two important things that we need to understand. What is the difference between business impact analysis and risk analysis? Any input? Any idea? What is the difference between business impact analysis and the risk analysis? What do we analyze in the risk? What risk analysis? What do we do in the business impact analysis? Okay. So, how many of you agree that it is both are same?
No, I think business continuity analysis is more than risk analysis.
This is impact analysis. Not continuity analysis, is impact analysis. So, you just try to.
This risk analysis may be focusing on a particular area.
Okay.
What will your business impact analysis, it may involve greater areas other than particular risk.
Yeah, okay. I can address that word greater as an impact here. Okay, that means more impact would be addressed in the business impact analysis. The risk analysis, of course, when we talk about the risk, obviously it would be with regard to how much of threat and what is the threat analysis we are doing, what is the vulnerability. It is all about the threat and vulnerability assessments. Okay, how likelihood that threat is going to impact the vulnerability or exploit the vulnerability to create a risk. That is all about the risk analysis. So risk analysis, when you talk about, it's all about the threat and vulnerability assessment and likelihood and impact analysis. Right. What is the business impact analysis is going to do? Business impact analysis is directly going to analyze the impact on a particular situation. What would be a impact for any organization or to a particular critical processes or function if a disruptive event occurs. So any event if it occurs, what would be the impact to the business? Whether that will critically affect the business and will it make us to continue the business or will it disrupt for how much of impact, we don't know. That is what the analysis we are going to do. Sorry?
It can be a positive impact or it can be a negative.
Yes, of course. It will be mostly negative impact. When we talk about the disruption, obviously it may create only a negative impact most of the time. So how much of impact is going to be experienced in the form of financial impact, in the form of customer impact, in the form of data impact, in the form of reputational impact, how it is going to impact. Okay, but both are same as you rightly said. So, okay, we are going to end up, finally we are going to do the impact. But with regard to business impact analysis, we need to
analysis is more wider than.
exactly. And we can go in depth directly into the criticality of the business when we talk about business impact analysis, which will facilitate easily the risk analysis. So when we talk from business continuity perspective, it would be always ideal to go with the business impact analysis so that we will identify what are the critical function or the important process that is required to be run continuously for the mere existence of the business. So that we need not worry about all the process involved in the organization. We cannot run with all the functions during the disruptive event. So we need to ensure identify only the critical function to be identified. And then how the critical function would be impacted because of some impact if it is not available for a couple of hours. Okay, what would be the impact, financial impact, if the function is not available, if the process is not functioning for certain hours or duration or minutes or whatever. Okay, to run the process or function, what is the system or application that is required? If that system is down, how it is going to impact that particular process? Okay, the system failure may occur, any kind of power outage may occur, so that the process should not suffer. So out of entire organization, we need to identify the critical business functions as a first and foremost step. For each and every critical function, then we need to identify what are the critical systems that are involved. Then what are the critical resources that are needed? Okay, then what are the other critical requirements? Okay, either logistics requirement or transportation requirement, whatever it is required. So that we can focus only on the criticality of the business for the continued run of the business. So during the disruptive situation, we cannot run the complete business. So it will be only the critical function. So this will help us to identify, based on the critical function, then we can perform the risk analysis only for the focusing towards the critical business function, rather than we perform the risk analysis for everything. At the end of the day, we need to run what? The critical function of the organization, the business process of the organization. Okay, that would be actually deriving the actual outcome of the business also. So it would be better to perform the business impact analysis first, and then we can perform the risk. How much of risk or what kind of risk may attack that particular process, and what would be the likelihood of occurring that risk, and what would be the further impact of that particular impact. Let us take, for example, in the banking organization. There are lots of processes out there. What would be you think? What do you think as the one of the critical business process or function within the banking? What should be our focus to be? We need to ensure that any function or operation that belongs to the customer should ensure that will be addressed. Okay. ATM, exactly. So the ATM process would be the most critical function that we need to ensure addressed. So that would be come on the top of the criticality of the business function in across all the functions. So that particular process, what are the application or systems that are attached with it? So we need to focus on those systems that has been attached. So what would be the impact if the ATM is not functioning for 1 hour? And within one branch or one city or one region. What happens if all the ATMs are not functioning for more than 1 hour or 2 hours? What would be the further impact? The impact is not only the service availability. Because of service non-availability, what would be the repercussion? What would be the repercussion? Obviously, customer, dissatisfied customer. Customer will then go for the, they will get,
It can be satisfied by the branch, so it is not critical.
yeah, it depends on the situation, whether it is only the disruption for the particular bank or for the entire city. If it is for the entire city, like the go-to time when we have, it is for all the banks. So there won't be any risk on the competitive advantage. Okay.
Battle of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So the whole city, I guess they bomb on the aliens now.
Okay.
So if this magnitude happens, I suppose it will not be.
And obviously, that is a different situation.
Even if you have disaster.
Exactly. So we have to categorize the impact, the situation, the disruption also. Whether it is a city level disaster and for everyone, or it is only to the region level or the country or building level or to the particular company level, organization level, then it will be the more risk. So we need to address accordingly. And accordingly, the bank should have, or the organization should have the resilience in place. And even during the bonus period, I come to know through few of our colleagues over there, the competitive advantage has been taken over. For example, within Omantan and Orido, okay, the network of one particular ISP was service provider was completely down. So that was took as an opportunity by the other service provider, and they captured the market of the customer by connecting through or by serving through the helicopter and other stuff on many things, and they gained the competitive advantage during the business, during the adverse situation. So we have to ensure that the proper function, the criticality of the function has been identified, and depends on the nature of the scenario. That is why we call worst case scenario. So if it is a city level disaster, it is not worst case scenario for one organization. It is for everybody. It's a kind of force measure we can say. But it is only for that particular organization and particular process or function, then we need to look into the worst case scenario for that particular situation. So what are we discussing over here is to identify the organizational resilience. We need to ensure proper business impact analysis and risk analysis should have been done. Okay. And what would be the outcome of the business impact analysis? What would be the outcome of the business impact analysis? So after you analyze, okay, after you identify all the critical function involved, critical systems that is required, critical resources, people that are required, and once you identify all the criticality of the business, and then you need to ensure deriving the recovery strategy. So it depends on the criticality that is involved. Yes, now we identified beyond 1 hour I cannot withstand for my process not available, or beyond 4 hours I cannot afford to have the ATM process down for more than 2 hours or 4 hours. So what we arrive is something called recovery time objective. So we will be arriving the objective, the metrics. Okay, so the minimum time to recover the business is the 2 hours. Because beyond 2 hours, we have experienced already huge loss. So we need to set the objective as a recovery time objective. Are you all with me?
Yes.
So what is the first outcome of the business impact analysis? Sorry?
Recovery time.
Objective, RTU. You can just remember as RTU. Right. There is another matrix called MTD. MTD is nothing but maximum tolerable downtime. Maximum tolerable downtime. So every business will be having its own appetite, and within that limit we need to ensure mitigate the risk. Okay. So the maximum tolerable downtime might be 4 hours. But within 2 hours we need to ensure the critical system should be recovered so that the people should have been transported to the alternate location, or ensure that business is maximum recovered within 4 hours. So beyond 4 hours, what does it mean? Beyond 4 hours, beyond the maximum tolerable downtime means then it would be a sorry? Exactly. So there comes the continuity of the business. This was not there earlier in those days. There was only IT and disaster recovery, and there were only one metrics called RPO. We have discussed now RTO, right? There is another one called RPO. Any guess or what is RPO?
Recovery point objective.
Recovery
To
point
what
objective.
extent you want to recover.
Exactly. So earlier, it was that approach was so towards the system and data recovery only, and not on the continuity of the business. So with regard to system and recovery, data recovery, it was called RPO. That is, till the from the last backup till the actual event occur, how much of data is lost. Okay. And within how many hours or days that they are going to recover the business, so that what would be the maximum tolerable loss of data a company can afford. That was actually identified by the website called RPO. Okay, don't worry, I will show you some illustration quickly so that you can easily understand. I will share you the content also. Okay, so this is something very important for us to identify any or to evaluate any business organization, how they have performed the business impact analysis, whether they have identified the critical process and function correctly, and the objective has been set correctly, and based on this objective only, the next level of strategy can be directed. The recovery strategy can be directed. Right. So the process that actually has the minimum, the lesser RTO, recovery time objective, needs to be recovered faster than the one having more RTO. Agreed? So based on that, recovery strategy to be developed. The recovery strategy would be like, for example, myself and Shah's undergone a reciprocal agreement. Okay, today is my session to IC the chapter, and next one. Okay, so different topic, totally. Yes. No, but at the end of the day, we need to ensure the customer requirements are met. So we can't afford to declare without having a session. So this is the lean period, we all know. Hot summer, vacation period. Okay, and immediately post Eid. So it is a little challenging for both the chapters to have a conversation. Okay, so we need to identify the right strategy. The strategy is, it would be a hot site or cold site or warm site or reciprocal arrangement with other organization, or do we have to have multiple branches so that the other branch will take over. Again, it depends on the nature of the disaster it occurs, whether it occurs city level disaster or country level or world or building level only or process level only. In India, from my experience, we have suffered a country level disaster a couple of years ago. Okay, so the entire country was gone on shortage of diesel. Diesel shortage was there. Okay, and I was in call center business at the time, working for call center business. Obviously, how critical it would be. Like ATM's process you say for banking, call center operation is something very important. So we need to ensure the customer should have been picked up immediately. If the call is not reached or received, then the call should be routed to the other location as a business continuity. But the customer doesn't know from where the call is landed. Only the company knows how the calls have been managed without having any downtime. Okay, so the BCP site for India would be Philippines, for example. So country level disaster, at any time that we can, within the country level, we can have from Chennai to Noida or Chennai to Bangalore or Hyderabad. So if Chennai is down, for example, the one city is down, then other city will take care of it. So that way we used to manage. So it depends on the nature of the business, how much we are going to invest and what is the strategy and what is the budget, and based on the criticality again, whether it is affordable to have a hot site or reciprocal arrangement or whatever it is. So when you have a strategy like hot site, what is hot site? The primary site is down. So you have to shift the business to the other location. And that location you have everything ready. Only thing you need to just connect and everything and start the business. For which you may need to require 4 hours time, uptime of 4 hours for example. And that 4 hours should not be more than our RTO. Okay, so if our RTO is for example 4 hours, then we need to ensure having the alternate site, the hot site, within 2 hours or 3 hours to be ready. Okay, either we will be transporting the people through flight to other location, or we are going to arrange with the other resources, whatever it is. Okay, so all the organization will be having here, for majority of the banks mainly, because of the requirement, regulatory requirement. What drives all these things important? It is not only the stakeholder of the business, those who don't have a loss or anything. It is also the requirement from
Regulators.
Yes, exactly. So regulatory requirement. So the regulatory requirement is stringent for the banks here from CBO, Central Bank of Oman, and the bank should have an alternate site location to ensure recover the business within the critical business functions within the recovery time objective, whatever is applicable. Okay, right. We will come back to the topic again. So this is what the relationship of that all the three important processes, okay? The business continuity, crisis management and disaster recovery. Okay, so what is the relationship between? Assume that there is an event occurred, there is an incident occurred. So what would be the, at what time that incident occurs, and from there onwards what would be the relationship between all the three processes? Look at this as a process, okay? From the time an incident occurred, what we need to address first? What process will take over immediately? Business continuity or crisis or emergency? Yes, we need to address the emergency situation first. So we need to ensure the people are evacuated safely, and then all the emergency approaches should have been taken care, and then the crisis management committee should be invoked, and then they will decide and they will assess the damage quickly, and then decide yes whether we can run the entire business in the same building or whatever it is, or we need to invoke BCP. So if you have to invoke BCP, what does it mean? We cannot run the entire business, we can only start the critical business function. Can you guess within how many days the hotel was resumed after the attack in Mumbai, in India? In 2006?
Yes, it's
2000,
a very long time.
okay. Can you guess? But you know which date the attack was occurred, right? Sorry? 26. So you know it is November month, okay. But I hope you have also seen in the newspaper and TV, the media was covered across the world. I am not talking only Indian perspective. Sorry, okay, across the world we know the hotel business resumed for Christmas Eve. Yes, of course, we have seen, right? The people, those who, all the people they posed with the photo in the thing, except for the floor that was affected, worstly affected. That means that the entire, of course, the entire building was affected, and people and huge casualty and impact was, no one can deny that one. But recovered fast. At least to run the critical business. What is the critical business for the hotel? Mainly. What do you think is the critical thing for the hotel? Business. Sorry? Servicing, but mainly the period. The period is a critical period. Christmas Eve and New Year Eve, and all the customers and all the clients across the global customers are actually largely not ready. And despite this terror fear, people, of course, people are not willing to visit also. But the hotel resumed the business. They gave the full confidence after that one. Okay, so the business was resumed for the Christmas Eve celebration on 24th of December. That means within the less than 1 month after the huge attack, enormous attack on the building, which we all have watched. Okay, so that is the resilience, and there are lots of case studies, of course. For example, if you can browse through, you can understand. But all this resilience, that is what the word resilience. How the resilience has been achieved by that particular organization. So how critical it is for hotel business, how critical it is for bank, how critical for any industry. For each and every industry, it is critical in different perspectives. So that particular duration is something important. Okay, in this particular month or period, that we need to ensure the resilience should be more. Okay. So for that purpose, we need to have a proper plan in place, and the plan should have been tested periodically. Then otherwise, the recovery should not be happened. Even in the US, and the 9/11 attack was occurred. Out of all the companies in the building were damaged in the Twin Towers, there are case studies. Okay, I think it is JP Morgan. Okay, there are few companies, 1 or 2 companies who successfully evacuated all the people with zero casualty, despite such huge thing, and were able to also continue the business. Have you heard about the organization USAA, the insurance sector in Mexico, USA? And they are the good example for business continuity and disaster recovery. Just have a browse through the Google and just check for the case study of business continuity of USA. You will really go mad because of the way that they test the BC. What we are doing on emergency drill and evacuation and all, right? You know how seriously we used to perform and respond also. Okay, we should not blame only the people performing that one. How much we respond also. Okay, so it is not so joke or easy. The people, those who are taking particular that organization, they create a scenario, multiple scenarios simultaneously, and that too they conduct the test during the real-time natural disaster warning was being triggered in US. When they have given the tornado warning, at that time they will be creating a crisis scenario, internal crisis scenario, as CEO was shot, for example. They will be conducting the drill also with the real gunshot sound and make the people believe real the attack was happened without informing, and how the company should actually have to take over the succession position and learn everything at all the levels, from top management to. So there is a huge case studies are there, which will be very interesting for you. You can just refer. So it all again depends on the organization's resilience, how it is built based on all these processes. Whether you have a proper incident response process first, emergency response procedure like evacuation procedures, interaction with SAP and ambulance and all the third party and external agencies have been there. Then protection of employees is something very important. That should have been done first. And after that, you have to ensure continuing the business. For continuing the business, we need to form the crisis management. Whether we have a proper crisis management committee exists in the organization, and whether the accountability has been identified. Dealing with the media during the crisis situation, how the communication should have been established to the external world. Whether all the people, not all the employees or organization is supposed to communicate. So there must be a proper accountability for each and everything, and that one of the critical thing is dealing with the media and communication. So the corporate communication team only should be responsible. Whether they have been informed and planned about all these things, and had they been informed, do they have a proper written script on hand readily, which has to be tested. It should not be just taken easily on that particular, during the situation they cannot do. So we have to ensure that whether the organization is having the corporate communication team and who is responsible for external communication, and whether they have planned and tested properly with the appropriate script. How many of you have observed or taken as a part of the evacuation procedure, the drill, emergency evacuation drill in your organization? Don't say no. Okay? You mean to say that you are not being part as an evaluator or as a
team, as a team.
okay? So you have participated, you mean to say? Yes, sir. Okay, so we as a general audience, you would also be participated and we would also evacuated safely. A little bit of chit-chatting along with the people on the staircase, right? Sometimes people used to go to kitchen and pick up the coffee mug and get also, I can see, because they wanted to really feel the heart of the situation, heat of the situation, right? So I have, just like to say, I have really observed those kind of examples. So that is the seriousness of the people and the emergency evacuation drill that happened. Okay, forget about the evacuation drill. After that one, have you observed or come across the BCP test has been conducted, call tree has been performed, or call tree test? Have you heard about something called call tree? Okay, fine, no problem. Business continuity, when we talk about the training and testing, there are different types of testing. Okay, whatever we have planned, we are creating the plan that is for the organization to exist. We cannot do the full interruption test all the time. So we can do a little different type of simulation test. We can do some test of the walkthrough test. At least we have a plan in place where the roles and responsibilities have been mentioned like I said here. Okay, whether the accountability has been displayed clearly and people have been aware of the accountability and the responsibility. So we can perform the tabletop exercise, that is a walkthrough exercise. So exercise can be a crisis management team can be called, a war room kind of setup can be established. So the business continuity coordinator can run the test with the plan that has been developed. Okay, don't worry, I will come back to you again how the plan should have been established after the business impact analysis. Okay, so that I don't want you to get loose of the connectivity. Okay, we have talked about the business impact analysis earlier, right? After business impact analysis, the strategy has been formed. Up to that, are you okay? You follow that, right? After the strategy has been identified, we need to develop the documentation. Business continuity plan has to be established. Then the plan should have been tested. That is what overall the business continuity life cycle. Okay, you will get that one in the next slide. Right. Now, as a crisis management, the team has been formed and accountability has been established, and they have to declare the business continuity. Then they have to declare the disaster and invoke business continuity. Okay, and when we invoke the business continuity, okay, whichever the critical function alone has to be continued further. That would have been taken into consideration and that will be connected. And that should be done within the timeline. And what would be the timeline? RTO. Okay, so within the time if we achieve, the business continuity process achieved. For that purpose, there must be a separate committee or forum should be exist in the organization as a business continuity forum. And it should be obviously highlighted always by CRO level, Chief Risk Officer, or depends on the size of the organization, it should have been even managed by CFO, Chief Financial Officer directly, or otherwise it would be by the CISO level. Chief Information Security Officer. Okay. So there must be a committee with again accountability and responsibility should be there, and recovery of the building, people, data, equipment, and all these things should have been come under the plan of business continuity. Right. Then comes the IT related disaster recovery. Okay. How the system is recovered, system data is recovered, and all the IT related recovery should be done. So when we talk about IT related recovery, we call it as disaster recovery. When we talk about the entire business as a continual running of the business, then we have to call it as business continuity. Hope you understand the difference between business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay? Right. So to have more in detail, this gives a very clear picture. So as soon the incident occurs, first emergency response will take into consideration, then crisis management will into picture, and then the business continuity plan will be invoked. Okay. So to make it happen successfully, we need to have the plan in place. And that plan should have been updated and approved periodically. And that plan should have been tested, then only you can achieve that timeline during the real-time situation. Okay, we cannot just have a plan on place. So we need to ensure the plan should be tested periodically. Right. So this is the entire process of the business continuity as a process. So the process involves starting from governance. Without having a strong governance, nothing will move forward. Okay, so the strong governance and the planning plays a vital role in the business continuity, because business continuity is a very critical function of the organization for the ultimate continuity of the critical business process. So without having a governance and the senior management support, we cannot have the proper plan in place. So as a governance responsibility, what are the things to be there? Whether do we have a proper organizational setup for the business continuity? Do we have a separate committee for business continuity? Okay, depends on the organization, depends on the size of the organization. They may be having a bigger committee or the small committee, but there must be a forum. There must be a committee with the responsibility assigned on it. Otherwise, there is no governance at all. Then BCM governance policy should have been there. Does the organization have BCP policy? Okay. Then planning toolbox configuration, activity criticality classification, incident severity classification, all these things. Then incident response plan should be there. Okay. Whether how to manage an incident. If any incident occurs, either it would be an ordinary virus outbreak, a simple, small level virus outbreak, or a network level, or the major network failure, or fire accident, or any kind of disaster, or it depends on the nature of the incident, whether do we have the process to detect the incident and respond to the incident. Okay. Then comes planning. Organizational unit level. Planning, when we talk about, it should be a decentralized approach. So whether we have the plan individually for each and every business unit level. Because every function and every business is important to the organization. Not necessarily all the business are, but more critical. Correct? So there must be a plan associated for each and every business unit level. And process to capture business impact analysis and risk assessment. That's what we discussed at the beginning. So the business impact analysis and risk assessment should have been conducted at each and every unit level, at the business function level. Okay. Then determining continuity strategies. How to determine the continuity strategy? How do we identify the strategy, continuity strategy? Whether I need to go to hot site or to record within 4 hours or 6 hours or 1 day or 2 days. If I need to record within 4 hours as a shorter duration of RTO, then I need to shift to the hot site. Okay, I can afford to wait for 1 day or 2 days, even after the disruption. So I can move to, yes, cold site. Don't worry, I will tell you later what is hot site, cold site. Okay, the site that we have, all the equipments, the AC, network, connectivity, system, everything is ready, only to ensure it has been switched on and startup. Only to start up to get the business ready. Okay, that is what called hot site. The investment will be more. So it will be depend on the critical functions only would be having. Out of 2000 business, okay, 2000 employees business, okay, maximum, for example, 20 or 30 employees, the critical functions has been identified and they can be moved to hot site, for example. Cold site, okay, if I have more RTO for more than 4 hours or 1 day or 2 days, then we can take a chance, then we can take for the strategy of cold site, which will take 1 day or 2 days to install the network and other stuff. where the basic facility only will be available in the cold side. Okay, like basic infra like AC, power supply, those things only will be there, but no network connectivity or anything, which will be established in 1 day or 2 days or 3 days, for example. That is what we call cold side. Okay, so it again depends on the strategy. That strategy is derived from the business impact analysis. Okay, that is why we need to do a thorough business impact analysis. Okay. Then comes execution. How we are going to determine the impact and all those stuff. Then we have to identify what are the activities and how to we have to activate appropriate teams and what are the process involved. How we have to conduct the test would be come under the execution. Then management. What is the management over here? Overall, frequency-based reminders, business audit supports, checking and everything will come. Can you just quickly coordinate with these 4 process here? What does it look like? What cycle it look like? What approach it looks like? The ISO standard that you would have come across, right? You might be about ISO standard also.
International standard.
Yes, of course. Okay, that goes with one cycle.
Other than the governance.
Plan, do, check, act.
Plan will execute and monitor.
Plan, do, check, act. Okay, so it works in the plan, do, check, act. That's what. So it also goes with the same approach only, because for business continuity the standard is ISO 22301. So this is ISO. This is the standard for business continuity management system. What is BCMS? BCMS refers to business continuity management system. Okay. So like we have QMS, quality management system, ISO 9000. For information security system, ISO 27001, like ISMS, we call it information security management system. So this is for the business continuity management system. So this is the basic standard. Okay, the acceptable standard. So to ensure that every organization must be having a resilient towards business continuity. It doesn't mean that we have to get certified on that, but at least we should take the framework for implementation. Okay. And these are all the various clauses involved in the business continuity, the standard of the ISO 22000 comes under plan, will check and act. There are 4 controls, for example, 4 domains. Okay. Comes under the planning stage, like context of organization, leadership, planning and support. And then there are 8 controls that comes under the implementation, risk assessment, business impact analysis. Okay. Then business continuity strategy, deriving the strategy from BAA, then developing the plan. Okay, and then exercising and testing. Okay, how the plan has to be tested. Then comes check, performance evaluation, auditing. So how frequently that we are doing the auditing of the plan and testing. Then further improvement, continuous improvement. Okay, so this is the standard for business continuity management system. So managing business continuity, how we have to manage? As we told that we need to have a management support first, senior management support, and should have a proper committee in place, a committee or forum, whatever we name it. And that should be headed at least and chaired by at the level of CXO. Otherwise, it won't be much effective. So it should be charged by either CRO, Chief Risk Officer, or CFO at least at the level. And it should comprise of all the head of the business units. And the head of for each and every function and every business unit, because we have to perform risk analysis or business impact analysis to derive the strategy unit level. We cannot do at the organization level too. So we have to do unit level. And then we have to consolidate the input and derive the organization-wide business continuity plan. Okay? So head of the business unit, it comprises of the entire business continuity process comprises of head of the business unit, and who might be having a recurring team leaders and business unit coordinators, or some companies called champions, okay, who can ensure that the entire process is run over in the business. Then organization of business, BCM coordinator, executive management. So top-down approach, if we say, it comes like this thing. So start with business continuity, crisis management and plan. Okay. Final one is disaster declaration. That will be the last resort of recovery. This will help you to understand very easily. You can see, for example, a sample structure of an organization committee, a committee of business continuity task force. It is a sample only. Okay. It is not actually given in any booklet, but it is just a sample, which I used to recommend for our organization and my clients. We used to have a committee like this thing generally. So we will be having a BCP of HR will be either CRO or CSO. Then it will be for part of executive council members will be the part of the committee. And with regard to operations, very few. All the business function units will be there. Then CTO and IT security and information security, legal, all will be there as a part of the executive council. And IT, you can see it's an internal audit. You can see as an independent authority. So we are the observer. Internal audit would be a independent authority, will not come as a part of the forum, but they will be a independent authority so that to ensure the complete process has been evaluated and best. And information technology, so they play the vital role over here so that to ensure that disaster recovery part has been taken care by IT. Otherwise, all the things comes under BCP. So I would like to make it very clear the difference between BCP and DR, business continuity and disaster recovery. Okay, before BCP exists, it was only disaster recovery, but BCP is overriding the entire thing to ensure continue the entire business during the disruption. Not as so, but there was a myth. People generally used to understand that BCP is the yes, but actually disaster recovery, which is the technical part, technology part only, is a subset of the entire BCP. Is a subset of the entire BCP. Okay, so it cannot work silo. So IT technologies DRP should be there as a part of the business continuity and ensure that the planning should be there. The DRP plan also should be there. The disaster recovery plan should be there, and DR test should be conducted, and BCP test should be conducted. Both are different. BCP test, when you say it is on overall full interruption of the business, we are shutting down the entire operation, for which the technology dependency, how we are ensuring that required systems are also covered. For that, they will be performing the DR test during the weekends, for example. So they cannot shut down all the systems at one go and cannot conduct. So they have to ensure the resilience is built, and for each and every critical systems, the server is having, and they have the multiple, they have the redundancy. Okay, both in the primary side and the DR side. And they have to ensure that has been working fine, and regular backup has been taken. And they cannot shut down during the regular business period. So IT DR test should have been conducted during the weekend. So we have to ensure that that is also conducted properly for all the critical systems at least. Okay. And how do we know which are the critical systems to be performed DR? Where do we get the output from? Critical function or critical systems or resources? From? Exactly. From business impact analysis. Right? That's what we spoke in the beginning. So by performing business impact analysis, we will be identifying all the critical function. Okay. So the entire committee, the business continuity forum, will be working on various functions, multiple functions, starting from infrastructure redundancy. For example, if you say that executive committee comprises of logistics and facility also. So they have to ensure that they have the sufficient redundancy for infrastructure. Example, can you give an example for redundancy? That is the backup for infrastructure related stuff. For the building, for the operation, the head office, the operation should run. What are all the things needed? Assuming the building is down. The building is down for some reason. Sorry? Alternate office space should be there. The building should be there. That is the redundancy for the building. Okay, the building doesn't affected by fire or anything, but it is still there. Power supply is cut. Short. Okay. So we need to have alternate power supply. The redundancy for power supply should be there. Okay, power supply is there, building is there. Network connectivity failed. So we need to have alternate redundant line. So we should not rely on one single ISP in the service. So we need to have multiple service provider. So we have to, as an internal auditor, we need to ensure the third party engagements, all the dependencies have been identified as a part of business impact analysis. When we perform the business impact analysis, what are the critical functions, what are the critical systems, what are the critical resources, what are the critical vendors involved, third party dependencies, everything should have been identified, and accordingly the impact should have been identified. Okay, what happens if that resource is not available? What happens if a system is not available? What happens if a vendor not respond on time? Okay, all these things should have been identified from the business impact analysis. Then transportation and redundancy will be taken by logistics. Incident response by whom? The function of incident response will be handled by whom? Which part of the function? The committee.
Media.
Sorry, incident response. Generally, incident response, when we say it not only be media, incident response, it will be either IT incident or security incident. Okay, that incident should have been detected and responded and should be closed for action. Okay, so let us take for example an incident of some breach occurred. Okay, some hacking as an incident. Okay, how that should have been detected and responded. Ransomware. Okay, we all have experience, right?
Yeah.
What is the latest ransomware we got? Name of the ransomware attack? How many of you know what is ransomware? Okay, right? You know, right? Ransomware is the latest threat in the cyber world. Okay, so there are lots of things. No new things are coming. So we don't know what kind of attack and how that kind of attacks are coming. Okay, so new viruses are coming, new approaches are coming. The sophistication of technology is more, and the people are more sophisticated with tools also nowadays. Okay, so we cannot, we don't know how the incident, how the event is occurred or incident is occurred, what kind of threat is there. So for that purpose, we need to ensure keep abreast of the incident response procedure regularly tested. Okay, that should have been. It is again a part of a business continuity. It should be a separate process, overall bigger process again. How to identify the incident on time, how to detect it and identify and then respond it. Okay, how to contain it before responding. How to contain it. What do you mean by containing it? We are talking about business continuity. One of the most important function of the business continuity is
Proactive action.
sorry.
Proactive.
Okay.
Reducing the impact.
Exactly. That is what all about containment. Okay, so that we are reducing the impact of the entire organization by at least running the critical functions of the business. So containment is reducing the impact. Okay. Then risk transfers, crisis communications and crisis management. Crisis communications will be handled by corporate communications team. Crisis management will be handled by the executive council. Production redundancy by the operations business unit functions. IT continuity by IT team, the entire group of IT. Data backup and records management will be taken care by IT. Security by the information security and IT security team. Alternate facilities by logistics, call center recovery for example. So these are the few examples of the functions that we need to identify as a part of the business impact analysis. Okay, we will not spell out as a risk assessment as the first priority. So this, when we talk about business continuity management, of course both will be done, but we will be approached more towards business impact analysis. Okay. So now let's come to the role of the internal auditor. This was the approach earlier. Okay. Sorry to mention that way, it was the fact actually those days, not nowadays. Okay, the approach was a right. Okay, on calendar was there, checklist is there, document is there or not? Yes, it is there. Plan is there? Yes. Test conducted? Yes. Right? Because we didn't have the capability or the criticality at that time. There is no need at that time. Okay. So because of the nature of the situation, trend now, the increased complexity in the business, technological advancement and the threat, we cannot just wink our eyes. Okay. So based on that need now, the approach of the auditors also a big change. Earlier the people used to see the and just ask if the plan is in place and review only IT DR plan as I told, whether the disaster recovery plan is there to recover the system and the data, that's all. Okay, there is no approach of continuity of the business. Okay, that has been changed now. The people now started reviewing the business continuity plan. Okay, not only review the plan, but they are involved in developing the plan also from the beginning, the auditors. Okay, and the beginning that the plan is in place. Now people are not just whether check the plan is in place, but they will review thoroughly for the details and they will check for all the update. Any changes happen. Okay, whether any resources have been removed from the organization has been updated properly in the plant. Any system that has been decommissioned has been updated properly or not. Example I am saying. So people have to dive into the plant and review thoroughly. Then only ask if the tests were performed, not reviewed in details on the process. Yes, the test has been conducted. What kind of test? Because we are not capable. When IQVR test, what do we do? How do we can only get the report and submit it. Okay, for me, regulatory complaints should be met. The complaints requirement is DR test should have been conducted. Yes, DR test is conducted. 10 system should have been conducted. 10 system is conducted. Yes. But we don't know how to go on, follow or review whether the test has been conducted successfully as per the requirement that we do. Now, people are capable. That is why that is the need of the hour now. Occasionally, we are involved in the BC process area. Now, we involved throughout the life cycle of the business continuity process. So, this is the life cycle of the business continuity as per the ISO 22000. What does the life cycle says? Starting from identifying, the first stage is identify, second analyze stage, then third create, and fourth is measure. Okay. In the identify stage only, we will be talking about the risk assessment. Okay, identifying the threat and vulnerabilities for the entire business as an organization. And the risk assessment can be conducted multiple ways. Right? Can you give me? What are different ways of risk assessment?
Simulation.
Okay. Risk assessment. And different approaches there. Either asset based or event based, scenario based. You can do a risk assessment for a particular asset, particular system. I can take for example particular ATM switch as one of the core system for the bank. So we can perform a risk assessment based on the asset. Okay, what happens if that particular system is affected by hacking? Okay, what is the likelihood of that particular threat? What would be the vulnerabilities in the system? Whether the system is having proper patching, antivirus, software, all the controls are there. Okay, because we need to do both threat and vulnerability assessment. So before we deploy into the system, we have to conduct the vulnerability scanning. And after we deploy the system, we have to do penetration testing. So these are all the controls I am saying. So this is how we used to do risk assessment. Okay. All these things will be performed. Either through the system we can do or otherwise as a process. Okay, for this particular process, performing the process, what happens in the process is not, if the person is not available to run the process, for example, right? Then what will be the impact of the process? That way also we can do the risk assessment. Okay. Then comes analysis stage. Analysis stage. In the analysis stage, we will be performing business impact analysis. What do we do from the business impact analysis? What do we get the output as a business impact analysis? How much of financial impact? How much of reputational impact? How many customers may get impacted? How much of data is lost in case the business is not available? So that is what all about the impact analysis. So you will be analyzing exactly on a worst case scenario, if an incident occurs, what would be the impact to the business in the form of financial, in the form of customer, in the form of data, whatever it is. That is what impact analysis. Okay. From the risk assessment, what would be the outcome? What is the outcome of the risk assessment? You know what is the weakness and what is the threat. And you will be deriving the risk treatment strategy. Whether to accept the risk or mitigate the risk or transfer or avoid, whatever. And for that one, you have to identify the controls. Except for risk avoidance, risk mitigation, controls will be identified. So that is the outcome of the risk assessment. The outcome of the business impact analysis is strategy, recovery strategy. And what are the two metrics that will come out of the BAA? RTO and RPO. RTO and RPO. Fifth time I am repeating. Right? RTO and RPO. Then comes step 3. Create strategy and develop plan. Okay. The concept is a critical, but the same concept. We are actually coming back and forth in the same thing only. Okay, the life cycle. We are now talking in the life cycle perspective. At the beginning, we started with the business continuity management as a process perspective. We saw that one. Right? Now we are talking from the ISO 22301 standard perspective. So, after analysis, we will be creating a strategy and plan, develop the plan. From the what? From the business impact analysis. From the business impact analysis, we got the outcome of RTO and RPO. Based on the RTO, okay, with the lesser time, the appropriate recovery strategy will be implemented. If the RTO is more different strategy will be there. If there is no criticality identified, no strategy is required. Okay, no heaven is going to fall if the business is not viable. So, what is the criticality involved when we perform the business impact analysis? If we go and do the analysis with the wrong person within the business, okay, for example, an employee in the operation, they will be out of fear, security, job security. No, my job is very important. I am very important to the business. So, who will be the right person to perform? When we perform business impact analysis, whom we have to ask for? The business owner, who is ultimately the risk owner. And the business owner only knows exactly what would be the risk and what would be the impact. Okay, so if we wrongly do the analysis with the wrong people, we will not get the correct data. So business owner would be able to tell exactly the impact if the particular function is not available for certain duration. Okay. So create strategy and plan development. Fourth one, after the strategy has been identified, the plan should have been established. And then the plan should have been approved. And the approved plan should have been tested. You understand the cycle, right? And while testing the plan, we have to train the employees. We need to ensure all the employees in the organization is informed about the plan and trained accordingly. They should have been informed about the do's and don'ts, basic things. What is the first and foremost thing that everyone should be there? Forget about, don't look at this business entity from organization perspective, from our perspective, personal perspective. In case of any risk occurs to me, what I should do as a community for my family. So that perspective, both are same. Okay. So what would be the continuity? How do I have to ensure the continuity? Okay, in my answer, we have to ensure. But can we test and train that also? Yes. We can test only one worst case scenario, not the two worst case scenario. So we have to ensure that we are resilient enough to meet that. So this is the life cycle of the business continuity life cycle, and this is in detail for all the identify, detect, and identify, analyze, create, and measure. This is the detailed approach. Initiate business continuity program, conduct business impact analysis assessment, develop recovery strategies, solution implementation, testing and acceptance, and routine maintenance, continuous improvement. So it ultimately covers the plan to check and act cycle. So what is the role of our internal auditors? Keep management informed about the progress towards business continuity development and implementation. And internal auditors should be act as the internal salesperson making the case for business continuity. If we identify the right problem, we cannot adapt the people. So we are building a case for the organization to develop a resilient organization. Okay, so we are acting as an internal salesperson. The participation in the risk assessment and business impact analysis is most important by auditors. Defining key business functions by assisting with the BIA. Defining key controls and guide towards the process and not on the plan. Project management standards, help craft maturity levels and definitions. We need to know what would be the maturity level the organization should reach based on the assessment of current state and then by benchmarking with the industry standard and so that to ensure the desired state has been identified. Okay, so the maturity should be, the progress should have been always benchmarked. Okay, so who is the right person to help the organization, the governance, having a proper maturity state? So we need to follow. So for that purpose, you can adopt any maturity skills, either it's a capability maturity model, CMMI5 or COVID or whatever standard that you can take on further. Okay, I will show you one sample quickly. Then audit the VC process initially and also in the future continuously. Okay. Do you know where it is from? This internal auditor, this responsibilities are from? Okay. So I got through this good input from the internal, the IAA.org only. So internal auditor association, this thing was there. So I found that one good to share it. So I appreciate that. Though I have ISACA input, but I would like to share with you more relevantly. So what are the information available for the internal auditor? Where do you refer for more information and get support, and which standard that you can refer to, what expertise that you can do, what website that you can refer to. There is a organization called BCI, Business Continuity Institute. Heard about it? Okay, so you can verify the Business Continuity Institute in bci.org. The bci.org is the website, and that is for business continuity. And then ISACA is there always, of course. I am from ISACA, so the Audit Control Association will be having their audit framework and everything. And from IAA itself, and of course you can approach any company like Paramount. Guidance from the bci.org, the IAO.org, the practice advisory, the reference is also here. You can go and refer to the particular thing for the role of the internal auditor with regard to business continuity. Then ISACA have our own IT assurance framework, and where the business continuity management and assurance program is there. And always you can refer to the industry standard, the best practice for industry standard on ISO 22301. And these are all the regulations and standards, just internationally global standards and regulations, which may not be applicable for all of us. For us, it may not. For us, it may be. If we are in the banking industry, okay, might be for Oman, Central Bank of Oman is one of the regulatory body. Do you give any other regulatory body applicable for CMI?
Capital market.
Okay. Are they insisting on business continuity requirement?
No.
So regulatory body may be there, but whether they require business continuity is what they concern.
Not for insurance, I think yes, they need.
For the no requirement on business continuity. That's what I wanted to know mainly. So to my knowledge, as far as for banking industry is concerned, in Oman, of course CBO has their own special requirement for business continuity implementation. Okay, TRA is there. Must be there. Then the IT disaster recovery requirement should be there. Telecom or TRA should be there. Okay, so they must be having the IT DR requirements for that purpose. So you can refer to all the based on the industry that you are working on. Then standards and guidelines. Of course, these are the basic international standards. And if you want to refer something specific to business continuity alone, there is a standard, exclusive standard for business continuity management system is 22301. But as a part of the ISO 27001, this is the information security management system standard. The standard for information security management system, where one of the domain is business continuity. Okay, just to start with the basic standard that would give you, that will cover all the things already. That also covers all the plan to check at living cycle only. Okay, so that we need to have the discussion on business impact plan, then test the plan and then train the people and then continue improvement, right? Continuous improvement. This is the common. Only thing that has been spelled out differently in each and every standard. And of course, these are all not directly associated with BCP, but they are actually interconnected, integrated we can say. There are 9,000 for quality management system, 14,000 for, any guess? Sorry?
Environment.
Yes, OSHAs. For environment, 14,000 is for environment. So environment, they will talk about the safety of the people. So people, human safety in the organization. And then DRA International you can refer, and NIC is the standard you can refer for, then COVID is there from ISACA, that is. Now the best practice is to conduct a BCP audit, provide management the assurance. Why we have to conduct the BCP audit? So that to provide the management assurance, and we can identify the control gaps from the, control gaps can be identified from where? How do we identify the control gaps? Sorry? Super. Do we give any prize or gift for the people answering the Shahs? Chapter? Do we have any?
We will start off.
We'll start. Wonderful. Is that it again? Reserve one prize for our gentlemen. Okay. Great. So controls, identify control gaps from risk assessment. Right? Identify strategy from where? Recovery strategy from?
Business impact.
Great, super. Thank you. Business impact analysis. Then regulatory compliance. We have to ensure meeting the regulatory compliance. If not, we no other will know the better about the business continuity. Regulatory compliance requirements. Identify actions to enhance maturity. So we need to know what is the maturity level that organization should approach for. How do we do that? How do we derive, how do we recommend the maturity state? Sorry?
Training.
By training? No, how do we know that the organization should achieve this level? CMM level, for example, 5 level is there, right? But organization may be at 0 now, ad hoc stage. But we cannot reach to 5 directly, right? So we need to set a desired state, 2 or 3, level 2 or 3. But how do we derive that? How do we arrive to that? Set the target as 2 or 3.
Benchmarking.
Exactly. So you have to do industry benchmarking. So we have to do the same analysis through industry benchmarking and find out what is the accepted standard of maturity. So we need to focus as that as a target. Otherwise what happens? People will claim, so big. I have increased from 0 to 15%, but the requirement may be 65. Okay, 0 to 15 may be, appear like 0 to 15 is not a big achievement, right? So the design state should be set very carefully. Ensure business process owners are accountable for the plans and testing. How the business process owners are accountable for the plans and testing? How do we ensure this? Of course, by testing only. What kind of test? Can we perform full interruption test all the time? Can we shut down the business and test all the time? The actual business will be getting affected, right? So we need to perform different types of tests. Okay, there are different types of tests out there. One is walkthrough. You have the plan. Just you can walk through the plan and make all the people responsible and tell them by putting a scenario in front of them. First case scenario, what is the role? Okay, you as a IT technology person, what is your role? For example, example only. Okay, you as a, for example, as a logistics head, at this scenario, what are you supposed to do? Okay, so you as a corporate communication, what are you supposed to do? So we need to ensure that the planned document which has already all the things should have been walked through with the people and ensure making the people aware of their responsibility and the situation. So this can be done as a tabletop exercise. Right. The next level of exercise what we can do, we can perform call tree test. Once you identify all the critical business function and the required systems required and identify the critical systems and then all the identified critical resources. Out of 200 employees, only 20 employees are the critical resource required to perform the business. So identify the 20 plus another 20 backup. Okay, perform call tree. Okay, give them a call at the odd time, whether they are responding to the call or not. Right? So we need to. Okay, so we need to ensure the person is responding back within few minutes from the top down approach. And who has to give the call? The BCT of the committee that we have formed. That okay, the head of the business committee chair. So we have to establish a war room kind of stuff, assuming that there is a real time scenario situation as a test itself I am seeing. So the head of the committee will be triggering the call after getting the approval from the board. Okay, we are invoking the BCP. So we have to invoke the BCP and we have to run the business from the alternate side. Then they will be calling the executive council. Executive council will call the operations head. Operations head will call coordinators or champions, and champions will call the critical resources. So from the time that initial call has been initiated, the first call has been initiated from the head, that last person who was received should have been noted down. Okay, now this is what nowadays the auditor should have been performing. Whether this testing has been conducted properly, whether the people have been given the proper script, whether through SMS or WhatsApp or call. In case WhatsApp is not working, whether people have been tested through SMS. So that we have to check out. If they rely only on the WhatsApp or the broadcast, yes, feature is there.
Discovered broadcast.
Assume that if it is a natural disaster scenario and where the internet connection is lost, we cannot rely on the WhatsApp. So we need to have backup for backup. Okay, so we have to perform through SMS also. But for that purpose, we need to send a proper script also again. So these are all the few things that we have to check as a auditor. Right, this is the second test I said, call tree test. Okay, then we can do simulation test, assuming that's a scenario, and we can make the people, we can identify the lean period and we can make the people to move to the alternate location and we can ask them to take the, do the transaction from the alternate location without disrupting the real business or shutting down the network from here. Then finally we can do full interruption test. Full interruption test. by shutting down the business from primary location and tick the clock and ensure whether the people are reaching to the alternate location as per the RTO and then connecting the system there and getting the transaction, first transaction they are entering and note down the time and within what time that they have checked out the business. Okay, so like that we have multiple systems we have to ensure.
Disaster management.
Okay, we got I was wondering actually. Okay.
Because the time has
Morning 4:30.
stand still.
That's what I thought.
It's moving at
It's moving.
But it's a wrong time.
I'm not looking at this.
Okay, no, but I don't think, I think I was.
Otherwise we'll start the session again.
Maybe it's settled for you then. Okay, so this we have to do, and scoping of BCP audit, I have a very huge content, but don't worry, I am not going to bother you with too much, but I wanted to inform you and I will share you the content. So this you can use it as your general audit plan for scoping, and also checklist of, I have checklist also for the control, but I will be following, taking through only the important controls over it. Okay, so general tendency, people will look at the more slides and don't look at as if you are skipping. Okay, but whatever is important, I am covering on those things. So overall program governance, when we talk about the scoping of the BCP audit, why I am talking about the scoping only maybe? There is something very important. Without having a proper scope for our audit, we cannot success on the audit, correct? So the initial planning covers everything, the scoping will all come under the initial planning. Without the proper planning, we cannot even perform the audit also successful. Because we are going to audit the critical things in the organization, right? So as a part of the scoping, we have to identify whether the program level governance, what is the scope that we have to identify. Okay, whether the programs is managed properly, whether it has a proper strategic direction and investment budget is there. Okay, for your convenience only, I have highlighted few important words only. Okay, so whether we have the strategic direction and budget is there, and senior management support is there, sponsorship is there. Okay, and stakeholders is involved or not, and whether sufficient interest they have. Okay, without their interest and support, we cannot conduct the business community or whatever it is. And accountability is whether clearly drafted in the plan and periodically revisiting the program. See, all these things comes under the governance. Okay, this we have to audit. Ongoing program management, whether we ask critical success factor in every BCP and effort is there or not. We have to ensure the metrics is there, the objectives have been set very clearly, RTO and RPO has been identified correctly or not. And then program any conflicting priorities has been balanced properly as a residency effort. For example, if any third party vendor dependency is there, how are we going to manage that? Okay. Then there is testing completed annually. So we need to ensure that testing is conducted minimum at least annually. So this comes under the scope of planning for the program management. Okay. Then definition accuracy of the BCP and DR objectives. Are the program requirements been clearly and fully defined by management? Then comprehensive business impact analysis has been completed or not? Is it regularly updated or not? Okay. So till last year, for example, for one of my clients, I was performing BAA once in a year, assuming that there is no change. Okay. So we've gone through the audit also successfully. It's not only for clearing the tick box audit, but to ensure that yes, we are performing the business impact analysis properly. Because there are new projects that have been in pipeline, new systems have been included, more new people would have been come, or some old people would have been removed from the organization. So to ensure that identify the criticality, we need to perform the business impact analysis at least once, but the regulatory requirement depends upon twice. For example, in the banking sector, no one. CBO is now asking for 2 times. Okay, is there anybody from banking here? Bank? Okay. So as a comprehensive business impact and regularly, and it should be regularly updated. Based on the BAA only, we can develop the BCP. And based on the BCP plan, only we can test and we can ensure that we are resilient enough in the organization. Then coverage of BCP and DR plans, whether the critical business process has been identified in the plan, and then supporting infrastructure has been identified, either servers, critical networks, critical systems, okay, number of laptops that is required, everything has been identified or not, that we have to ensure as a part of the plan, as a part of the business continuity or business technical plan. Then all the outsourced activities should have been adequately covered, either third party or vendor dependencies. If anything is there, then they should have been included. And there must be a proper agreement. So one of the important checklists for us to audit is third party vendor contract agreements. Whether there is a agreement signed for business continuity. Okay. Their plan should have been ensured current all the time and updated all the time. Okay. So management of any system or process changes. If that's what I said. Any changes applicable that we have to ensure that is being captured already in the document plan. Then changes are tracked and addressed all the time. And frequency of change should have been identified so that we can ensure that plan document is current all the time. Okay. Then robustness of the BCP and testing process. This is all the scope with regard to testing process. How much of the organization program managers are ready with the preparedness and with confidence and capabilities. How we have to build all these things? By having a proper plan in place, and the plan should have been trained to the people. Then only they have the confidence and the capability to perform the test. People participation, it should be more with the people participation, the drills and tests should have been conducted. Okay. Otherwise, people will not be familiar. Even in the normal situation, people will not perform properly, and in chaotic situation, just imagine. Okay. So we have to ensure tested. Plan maintenance. How is the change management process? So change is the very important thing. Change management. Okay. For maintaining the plan, any changes that have been occurred should have been captured properly. Okay. If any changes occurred in the organizational level and major changes occurred in the organizational level, for example, migrating to a new system, it should undergone through a proper change management process. Sorry?
Can I ask you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, now we have the new notes coming out, the 50 real notes.
Okay.
That note is not accepted in ATMs,
Okay.
deposit machines.
Okay.
So, how relevant can you explain on that?
Wonderful is, I think you are trying to understand, ask about how the change has to be
Yes.
made successful. Okay.
It happened in India also.
Exactly. Yes. Any changes, that is the emergency change.
Yes, not a second.
You can consider the emergency change. How
Even
that,
counting machine is not accepting this new 50 notes.
so that is what, for every changes to be incorporated, either it's a minor or major changes, and mainly for major changes, before incorporating any major changes, there must be a proper plan should have been there. So they should be brainstormed, they should have been conducted. Otherwise, there will be more suffering. So, of course, there will be that. Any change cannot be easily implemented. There will be acceptance for changes. But how much of impact would be there? How much of impact that we can contain maximum does matter. Right? For example, if the demonetization may not be controlled, for example, for any country for that matter. Forget about India, okay? There was a strong reason behind the demonetization, for example. If that demonetization was not done at that time, for example, forget about bringing back the corrupted money or whatever it is, but at least the fake currency has been eliminated. So one advantage is there, the big advantage was there, right? I am not for or favor of any government or policies or anything. I am just checking as I am also affected, for example. Okay, we were not able to, because when we land into the airport, as soon people are caught for the 2,000 bucks and everything. For that 2,000 rupees on hand, I have to fill up some form and waited and everything. Happened all this stuff. Okay, yeah, please.
No, see, quickly we are about if you have it, I guess you will start.
Yeah, when is going to implement it?
No, the note is out.
Ah.
The ATM machine is giving you.
Okay, that is not, yeah.
But the
CDM. CDM is not accepted.
CDM is not accepted.
Yes.
So you should not take 50 real.
So they are giving, not taking.
I understand.
It's for body, not for the body.
So, one quick question for you. One quick question for that purpose. So, any changes that has been incorporated, okay, when it should not be done? An organization level, okay, take for example IT. They are going to migrate some system. Suddenly they are migrating into Office 365. Okay. As an auditor, what do you recommend that people should not perform the change, or when they should not perform the change?
Especially at the
Sorry?
end. Especially not at the end. You make things tough for the external auditors.
Okay.
Like
Okay, good. Sorry, somebody you are telling that?
Unless people are educated first.
Okay. Now I am just talking about the period, which period that we should not go for the changes suddenly.
During the peak period.
During the peak period. Okay, peak period, and mainly, for example, that depends on the nature of the change what it is. Okay. For example, I am going to make some sudden configuration change in the IT system, and that I found a good time only on Thursday evening. Okay, on Thursday evening I made the changes and I went home. Friday, Saturday, holiday. What happens?
Saturday morning problem.
Yes, because if any impact occurs during the weekend, there is no proper time to roll back the changes, right? So the risk of implementing the change is more. Okay. This is just a small example I'm saying. So the change is something very important. The change management is something very important. So we as an auditor should ensure focus more on the change management process, whether the changes has been approved and then it has been incorporated and implemented properly, and before implemented whether we tested the change or not. Take for example patch updation. Right? Every month Windows patches will be released. So the patch has been updated, approved, and then it should have been tested, and then it should have been updated in all the systems, right? And not at one go, and pilot on group network basis or whatever it is, and they have to ensure then it should not affect the current. This is just an example. So this is the common approach for any change management process, that we need to ensure no bigger changes should have been adopted suddenly, and it should have been properly managed.
Even I suppose is most difficult than systems. People.
Yes, people mind is so difficult to change. Discipliners will be more. Okay, so those kind of sudden changes that we are talking about, we are not able to accept it. Okay, if we have been informed, then not only we, the people, those who have the fake currency would also be. Got it? So the purpose would be defeated. So there must be a part of impact should be there, which has to be borne. Okay, for example, I am saying. Right, let us come back to the topic here. Organization must design DR and BCP capabilities into the new solution and technologies. They cannot be added before the production implementation. So we have to be very careful. Why production implementation is very risky thing. We cannot just go dive to the production without having a proper testing system. BCP and DR procedures. So consider the procedures associated with the training guidelines and everything. All the employees are trained properly with all the plans and procedures. Audit review best practices. These are a few best practices as a recommendation. Always interview key stakeholders, as I told you some time ago. Review business case, planning and IT related documents for getting more information before you perform the audit. We cannot just like that go with the checklist and ask for the tick mark, right? But we can interview them and understand what is the process involved, what are the criticality of the process involved, how the data flows in the process. Whether we are technically sound or not doesn't matter, but we can ask for more information. Okay, how your process works, we can ask for more information. Where are you getting the data from? Which department you are receiving the data from? Where the data flows from this process to outside? So what is the flow of the data, for example? So we will come to know, okay, that is the risk of the data over here, when that particular data is credit card information, for example. Right? So that involves credit card information. Immediately then we have to give more focus towards the particular control or audit or process. Because the criticality of credit card information we know. So you have to ensure, go for detailed document review process first, and then BCP plans complete, accurate and up to date. Ensure that all the plans are being reviewed frequently and updated and approved. Okay. So document has been developed but not updated and not reviewed, no purpose. You might be still having the person who has already retired from the organization. Okay, so during the disaster it will become a, yes, the crisis become catastrophic in the video you saw, right? We cannot have that. Then look for defined recovery times, the exam training materials and all management communication, what employees should do with the appropriate script properly. Then review testing plans and results. Employee preparedness is something important, it is coming very repeatedly. Impact on new regulation you have to find out. Okay. Is that okay that we have to accept all the new regulations? Some new regulation requirement is coming. Do you immediately insist that to organization to?
Yes. For example, the new excise tax is come.
Okay.
Example from
Okay.
this 15.
Okay.
You're supposed to follow that. You're supposed to file the budget. There
Okay.
are transitional provisions.
Companies laws have changed, that
Okay.
gives a transition period.
Okay, so it depends on the nature of the regulatory requirement that can be acceptable by the organization. That is something not risk appetite for the organization. I am talking from organizational perspective. So not necessarily all the regulatory requirements should have been incorporated. Okay, my risk appetite is more, so I can not actually adhere to that. I can pay penalty rather than incorporating. I am just coming that perspective. So not necessarily all the regulatory complaints are the risk for the organization, and it may be a risk but can be an avoidable or acceptable or mitigated. Okay. So we have to ensure appropriate, you have to review the regulation, impact of new regulation, and then review contractor and service provider readiness as we told. Okay, the third party. The review of the contractor and service providers. The document should have been reviewed. And they should be also ready and they should be a part of the test, business continuity plan and test. Okay. These are all a few essential things that auditors should have. Work in a collaborative manner, advise and teach. Okay, it is not focused with as an audit approach, approach in the sense as a false finding approach. Okay, but of course we can go with the detailed analysis into the review and we can give the input. Engage BCP champions, coordinators and security consultants. Understand the history of BCP, management objectives and the level of maturity upfront. Understand the scope of business continuity. Approach from a process perspective again, documentation review. Evaluate key success factors, availability, repeatability, extensibility and maintainability. I hope you understand all these things. Availability, when we say, you can just take for example, whether there is an alternate power supply is there, generator is there for power shutdown. Okay, alternate network supply is there or not, for example. Availability. Then repeatability, yes, the process has been updated repeatedly or tested repeatedly. Okay, maintainability, whether the project document has been maintained appropriately by the right person. Focus on BCM life cycle, brainstorm ideas for continuous improvement. And these are the few sample checklists of internal auditors for checking for the audit. Is that a business continuity plan exists, task force exists, strategy and budget allocated, document is updated and approved or signed, yes, complied, not complied. Okay, this we can even do as a self-assessment to the business unit function before we go for the detailed audit. So all the controls, whatever we have come across, I have just installed as a checklist for here for your reference. And with regard to records that we have to check as a part of the audit, what are the documents and records that we have to audit, starting from the policy document, strategy document, and how frequently should have been updated and reviewed? Annually, at least, minimum annually. With business impact analysis, physical risk assessment, business continuity plan, all these things should have been minimum annually, it should have been reviewed, or whenever the change occurred in the business, any significant change in the business occurred, some resource left or added, or some system has been commissioned or decommissioned into the environment network according to the need, or some incident occurred. Recently the organization would have experienced some breach or some fraud. Okay, then based on the fraud, the changes would have been occurred. Lots of changes would have occurred. So that we have to ensure the plan has been updated appropriately. For example, then test reports should have been conducted annually minimum. These are all the basic standard. Minimum standard requirement is annually. But it depends on the industry and the criticality of the business and the regulatory requirement, it may be half yearly also. Okay. Third party support contracts to be reviewed. All the contract documents should have been reviewed. One more thing, the plan, business continuity plan. Assume now we have completed the risk assessment, business impact assessment, and then developed the plan, and the plan has been tested, and the tested plan has been reviewed periodically and all those things. Where the plan should have been kept. The business continuity plan, once it is developed for the entire organization, and unit level we have separated plan, right? We have created the plan separately for each and every business unit function, so that during the disaster situation, PCT situation, they should take out the plan immediately and implement it, right? So where the plan should have been kept? Yes, but surely not in the same primary location, right? Right. So after developing so hardly all the process, we should not leave it in the, keep it only in the primary location. It should have been kept it in the alternate location and secure location. It can be in your car also. The business owners' car also they can keep it. But you should have been ensured if it is a critical document, it should be kept securely. So that it should be easily accessible and taken. And backup tapes, records when we talk about tapes. Okay, all the data backups have been taken either in the form of tapes or in the form of media. Okay, media device or online backup product in there. So we have to ensure whether the data is stored where the alternate location, whether it is stored in the cloud or in the cloud backup or it is in the different location, whether it is in the form of tapes. We have to ensure the physical security of the data backup also. Right? So these are all the few control practices to ensure the maturity of the program is identified. So you have to find out the assessed maturity, current level of maturity from the gap assessment, and the target maturity by identifying benchmarking. Okay, so business continuity strategy and plan, policy standards, impact assessment, risk assessment, documentation, planning and testing and training requirement. So the current state and the desired state. Okay, so you can identify the maturity level of the program. So process maturity for 5 levels, for example, starting from ad hoc state to repeatable and defined and then managed and finally optimizing, for example, either you can say optimized or you can consider this as a resilient enough. Okay, so as per the resilient state, what we can do, how that, what will be the characteristics or the capability for the organization. So everything is perfect. Business can be managed successfully by the bank, by the organization, they have complete plan and everything is just method of achievement, comprehensive organizational business continuity strategies are exist, aligned with our strategic objectives, core business function operates and have clear accountability responsibility. This is BCP testing and maintenance occurs, personnel are well trained and metrics are collected. All these things are happened happily. So happy ending. Okay, so but it's not so easy for any organization because we will be having a learning experience all the time by performing the testing. So good that if any organization at least having the 3 and above, 3 level, level 3, like 2, that is a defined state. Because we are below defined, you can see repeatable and add-on. Okay, so try to find out from your organization which you are auditing, you are interested, and find out what is the level of maturity, right? Okay, so you can identify whether they have something or not. If they don't have strategy at all, no plan at all, no organization committee at all, then 0 straight away, add-on. Okay. So little bit they have something, okay, they have draft strategy, budgeting is there, but no proper plan is established, okay, it might be second level. Okay, so the depends on the maturity level would have been increased. This is how we have to assess the progress and performance of the organization from current state to desired state. So BA or RA we have discussed already, I have told you. So these are the few links for your references that you can also refer. Are we going to take quiz or you want to give me a quiz first? I think I took little time extra. Yeah, just 3 questions. Okay, you have any questions to me? I will be glad to answer. Or you can even post your questions later also.
After the advent of this cloud computing, to what extent this business continuity plan has been impacted to reduction in the whole plan?
Can you just rephrase your question, please?
So after the advent of cloud computing, where you have there is no need for a hard side or a soft side, where you have data accessible from any from anywhere.
Yeah. Then of
To
course.
what extent it has created an impact on the country?
See, cloud is a very good actually compared to for the business people. Okay, when you say cloud security, cloud obviously cost effective, so business want to go for that one. From security perspective, we will always be a little paranoid. We cannot say yes to immediately to cloud. So we need to identify the risk over there, and because something is not visible. Cloud will be say where it is located, the server is located, whether there is a, it's not only that one, and who are going to have access to that system which is not visible to us. Okay, those things are those. So one side we are worried about, we are ensuring about the availability. Yes, my data is available in the cloud for taking back. But what happens to confidentiality and integrity is the concern with regard to security perspective. Okay, so that fear will be there always, but there are lots of resilience and things are there. So not critical functions will not go or the organization will not go directly to the cloud immediately.
There is in this risk assessment, it should be a continuous process. For example, there will be regulatory changes,
Yes,
like
exactly.
what you call the access,
New access companies.
or there will be an internal company with a process change,
Yeah.
or addition of business processes.
Exactly.
So it is actually a what you call continuous process.
Yes, of course.
Rather than a cyclical event.
Yeah, exactly. So the risk profile might be changing frequently.
Yes.
And we cannot consider one risk as a closed also and kept it aside. The same risk might be open, right? and some risk that has been opened can be mitigated and the risk rating would have been reduced. So the residual rating is something very important, whether it is meeting the appetite or not. Accordingly, we need to keep review frequently. Even the closed risk should have been reviewed frequently as a continuous process. Is that my?
Yeah. I just have one question.
Yeah, please.
One question. On the BCP and the DRPs,
Okay.
you cleared some confusion on my part.
Oh my God.
I had the confusion that when you talk about DR, it's something which is more at a larger level and larger scale, and which is not only restricted to IT. What you mentioned is DR is something which is associated more with IT.
Okay.
So is this the common understanding across the industry where anything related to IT is something related to DR?
Okay. I love to answer that question. Okay, because DR, when we talk about it, only address the technology perspective. Okay, the recovery part of the technology systems, data, only the. But when we talk about the business community, it is the overall picture of the entire business, which includes technology, people, process.
So what I was understanding was like if there is a fire in the building,
Yeah.
which could be catastrophic in nature,
Yes.
like an emergency, that would still be classified as a business continuity itself, right?
Yes,
because
sir.
it's not related to IT.
Yeah.
But something small like a backup or something would still be under DR.
Okay.
Is how it's classified, right?
Yeah, again, it depends on the nature of the impact, whether the entire building has been impacted along with the IT infrastructure also. Okay, if the building is not accessible, then how the people will be working on the system. Though the IT system is not impacted, for example, they are the system backup and everything. So we need to ensure that resilience is there. Okay, the alternate site is established with the proper DR site and all the systems are being backed up. So the challenge is equally there. Okay, if a different scenario might be, for example, only physical, other than the IT is impacted, but IT is not impacted, that is a different story. But building, when we say, it is obviously both are affected. But at that time, more challenges for IT. Why? Because they need to ensure the other building have all the yes, infra is ready, up and running. Okay. So thank you. I hope if you have any questions further also, please feel free to write to me, and I will surely glad to answer for you. Okay. I will just keep this thing. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I hope I made some contribution to you by on information security and business. Thank you so much.
I guess that's the I guess we already had the interactive session so far. Without taking it further, may I invite CA Salil Burgess to come forward, please, and not only give the official vote of thanks, but also the momentum to the speaker as well. So, Guru Bhai, please, if you can have along. Again, you can just take a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
You won't take much.
Yeah. First of all, may I thank Guru Ayyappani for his excellent presentation today. We will try to have a half-a-day session sometime during maybe October, November. This because we cannot compress this in what you call an hour and a half. It cannot be accommodated. We can try to have a half-a-day session later. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Guru Ayyappani, for your excellent evening. And thank you CBFS for providing us the space, and thank you for all of your presence today. Thank you all and all.